we are going to be looking at getting your account set up with what we need to enter in order to begin pricing our projects. So here we have a fresh account, which is what you begin with when you have first created your account with Project Price. When we go to the dashboard, which is what we have on the screen here, we can see on the left-hand side, we have some tabs. And first we can go ahead and set up the prices that we pay for each material that goes into a landscaping project. Now you may notice some materials that aren't in this list, but this is for convenience as some material prices need changing per project that we are working on, so we can find these material prices, such as the paving price, in the project tab. So if we go back to the prices tab and go ahead and enter all of the prices that we need. And as mentioned here, all prices are pre-VAT, which does get worked out and added on after we have completed pricing a job. Now we have entered all of the prices, we can go ahead and press the save button. And this will be saved over every job from now on, so we will only ever need to come back to this tab if any of our material prices change. We can now head over to settings. These will be our working methods such as material depths, excavation depths, and so on. As you can see, we have values pre-entered in here, which are general working methods and sizes of materials that are used. But it is important to go through each one and double check and change, if needed, any data to correspond to how you and your team personally work. If we need any explaining of what any of these settings mean, we can see a little information button on the right-hand side of each of these for an explanation. Again, we go and press Save Settings, and this will again be saved over all projects that we price using the app. Now we have set up our prices and settings, we are ready to begin pricing jobs. So first we go to the project name box and enter a name for the job we are working on. I typically like to use either the customer's name or customer's address to make it easy to identify which project is which. So let's go ahead and enter this. As we can see, a drop-down menu will appear with the name of our project that we are working on and will store all other previous projects. Now if we bring up the sketch I have made of the job that we are about to price, we can see that we have a paving area that the customer has specified to be constructed out of porcelain. Now the area of this patio is obviously not straightforward to calculate, so we will head over to our area calculator in order to get this measurement without having to guess or use advanced mathematics. We have a grid, and each grid square represents 1 square meter. So we are able to draw the shape of our paving directly into the area calculator, which will then tell us exactly how big of an area we are working with. We will also be able to get the perimeter of the patio, which is useful for us as we will be installing an edging border all the way around. We are able to manipulate the points if needed, and have our area be calculated to the shape we have drawn. We now know that the patio paving area is 68 square meters, and the perimeter around the paving is 36 meters. So let's take these measurements and place them into our project tab. We will add in the material cost of the paving per meter square, and if we look over to the table on the right-hand side, we can see that our materials and corresponding prices are being updated as we enter the measurements of our project. Let's tidy the screen up a little by pressing the minimize button of the labor table, giving us an easier view of what we are working on. So now we can go through each tab that is categorized into different landscaping jobs and enter all of the measurements that we have taken from the client's garden. To make the measuring simple, I have taken the measurements of the patio including the border. So we are able to reduce the total amount of edgings from the square meter of the paving by checking the tick box here, and we can see the paving material square meter be reduced. We should also mention that some of the materials on the right-hand side have recommended additional quantities that take into account wastage. For example, the paving area we enter will add on 10% for wastage and breakages. We will add in our fencing measurements, our drainage requirements, the gravel and turfing areas, the machine hire such as our digger and dumper, and how many days we will be using them for, and finally any other needs to complete our job. We will add in here the cost of the electrical work, all expendable materials that we will solely use for this project, such as saws and saw blades, our fuel spending, and finally we will add in one skip to be used on this project. We can now go ahead and maximize the labor table. which will bring up the phases of the job and allow us to input how long each phase of the job will take. We can see that this particular project should take us a total of 17 days to complete. We can now then enter the cost of our team's labor per day. Let's go ahead and add the VAT for the labor, as we are a VAT registered company, bringing our total labor cost to £9,180. We are now able to see all of the materials and the price of the materials that is needed in order to complete this job. If needed, we can edit the material quantity of any of the materials, which will then adjust the price accordingly. After editing the quantity, we should be sure to check the box next to it, to ensure that, if we need to edit the project at all, this value will stay the same. If we uncheck this box, we can see that it will change to the correct quantity of what we have over in the job specification. We have drop-down menus, which will allow us to see where each material is being used. For example, if we have waste coming from separate areas of the job, we can see how much is coming from, or being used in that particular area. If we do not need to use a specific material that is listed, we can simply tick the unused checkbox, which will revert the quantity and cost to zero. Let's make one more adjustment to the price by adding on our profit margin to the materials. Now we have all of the materials needed and edited. We can go ahead and clear our tables up, so we can double check everything that is being used and is not being used. We can press the Hide All Used Values to do this, giving us a more clear idea of everything that is going to be needed and making it easier to double check everything. A handy little tip that I use is to press the download button, which is next to the name of our project. Pressing this will download a PDF file of our material and prices table. This is good to keep to use as reference and allows us to go through each material as they are being used throughout the project. Now that we are happy with the materials and labor that allows us to complete this project, we can go ahead and press save. Project price is able to be used across PC, smartphone and tablet, so we can always come back to the dashboard if needed, or if we need to price a project while on the go. One final thing we need to do is head over to the quoting tab. Here we can see that the project we have just priced is in a professional quote. Using the measurements and prices we have just entered, we can see a breakdown of the work that is required, the total cost of the project, and also some general requirements and guidelines needed for a customer. All we need to do now is to click the Copy Quote button and send this off to the customer using your usual practice. We now have set up, priced, and sent off the quote to our customer, using project price, making it much more of a simpler and accurate task.